As the U.S. military starts running low on recruits, is it automatically enlisting American citizens to make up for it? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. The U.S. continues facing a military recruitment crisis. Not enough people are enlisting in the military. And with war seemingly on the horizon, there's talk of a military draft.
They started the draft again. Let me tell y'all something. There's not enough space in prisons for the people that's going to deny those drafts.
First of all, not enough room in prison? This is America. You think the prison industrial complex is slacking off? So, is the United States automatically enlisting young men into the military to fill the void? Well, there are some people who believe so and claim this is an automatic draft to fight in conflict zones like Ukraine. This is happening because the House recently passed a measure within the annual National Defense Authorization Act, which sets out the U.S. government's military and national security priorities over the next fiscal year. That bill brought up automatic registration with the Selective Service system. So, are these claims true? Looks like it's time for another edition of Wait, is that true? No. Let's hit the ground running with the most wild claims. First, no, there are no plans to mobilize an American ground force to fight directly in Ukraine. And no, there is no active draft. It's an election year. Who'd be crazy enough to directly involve us in Ukraine or start something as unpopular as a military draft at this time? That'd be like proclaiming that pineapples on pizza are now mandatory, which they should be. Also, there are no plans to automatically enlist Americans into the military. While these claims might make for great clicks, it seems people are actually confused over what's really happening. The thing is, there's a really big difference between being enlisted in the U.S. military, being drafted, and being registered with the Selective Service system. Enlisting is the process of actually joining the U.S. military and serving for a set time period. You know, that thing the U.S. is having a hard time finding enough people to do? Drafts, on the other hand, are compulsory service. In a crisis requiring a draft, men would be called in a sequence determined by random lottery number and year of birth. Then they would be examined for mental, physical, and moral fitness by the military before being deferred or exempted from military service or inducted into the armed forces. And I'm sure that random lottery doesn't take into account how rich or powerful your family is. Nope, no way. Not at all. And registration with the Selective Service system is a completely different beast. The Selective Service system is a government agency that keeps a database of registered citizens and immigrants in preparation for a draft. But even then, being registered in the Selective Service system doesn't guarantee military service. It just guarantees you're now in the database, just in case. I would know, since I was registered in the Selective Service system, and instead of ever being in the military, I started a YouTube channel. Some would argue that makes me just as heroic. Now, some people believe that the Selective Service system is voluntary, but that's simply not true. Enlisting in the armed forces is voluntary, but registering with the Selective Service system is not. It's mandatory for male citizens and immigrants to register with the Selective Service system within 30 days of their 18th birthday. Not doing so is a federal felony, punishable by a fine of up to $250,000 and up to 5 years in prison, though that hasn't happened in over 30 years. Maybe that's why the drinking age is 21 and not 18. They don't want people to be too hungover to remember to sign up, because as we all know, no one drinks before they turn 21. But the issue is not everyone is actually doing it, partly because people simply don't know that they're supposed to register with the Selective Service system. And because there's many who don't, lots of people have actually lost qualifications for federal student loans and jobs because of this. Non-compliance with Selective Service has been a problem for quite some time. According to the Selective Service's annual report to Congress, for 2022, the national registration rate for that year for qualified men was 84%. Compliance took a hit ever since the FAFSA Simplification Act in 2020. That removed requiring Selective Service registration on student applications for federal tuition assistance. Why is that a problem? Well, historically, student applications for federal tuition aid accounted for around 20% of annual Selective Service registrations. Because there's no free lunches. Sometimes that sandwich might cost you a stint in a future war. Which brings me back to the new legislation. Rather than have to deal with compliance issues for something that's already mandatory, lawmakers want to simplify the Selective Service registration process by automating it. If the House bill passes, the Selective Service would tap into other federal databases to enroll eligible Americans. Doesn't that just give you a warm feeling inside? Representative Chrissy Houlihan, who sponsored the idea of automatic registration, said, by using available federal databases, the Selective Service Agency will be able to register all of the individuals required and thus help ensure that any future military draft is fair and equitable, especially for people with rich and powerful families. Yep, I'm sure they're just as likely to get selected. This will also allow us to rededicate resources towards reading readiness and towards mobilization rather than towards education and advertising campaigns driven to register people. Now that's all fine and dandy for men, but what about women? There's also chatter that women must register as well, but that's not in the House bill. It's in a new Senate bill. The idea of a women's draft is part of a separate proposal by the Senate Armed Services Committee. It proposes requiring women to register for Selective Service. Because hashtag real feminism. Slay, queen. But, actually slay, this is war. Before you flee to Canada, keep in mind that we're talking about bill proposals here. As of this recording, nothing's set in stone, and there's a good chance neither the Senate nor the House proposals will get passed. So, why are people freaking out and saying that the draft is back? Because people only read the headlines and don't fully understand them. Wow, if only there were a show that dove into the news beyond just a surface level, tackled the nuance of stories that mainstream journalists left out, but in a nonpartisan way and made it all palatable with humor. If only. YouTube should automatically draft viewers to this channel. Unfortunately, talking about the military ain't exactly something YouTube likes, which is why I need your help. Help the show out by liking and subscribing. YouTube has been mass unsubscribing people, so make sure you're still subscribed. And if you can, support the show on patreon.com/AmericaUncovered. You can contribute however much you want on a monthly basis, but you can also set it up for just $1 an episode. Just click that orange button. And another way I'm getting around YouTube censorship is by hiding controversial topics in gaming content. These days it seems like you aren't allowed to be proud of being an American. America has too many flaws. Check out what I have to say about that in this video, which is totally about the Paper Mario remake. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.